I'm Salavalo, and I have been to every single country in the world. This includes all of the famous ones that millions of tourists go to every single year, all of them. But it also includes all of the countries that you've maybe never heard of, and all of the countries that you've been taught to be afraid of, that have secretive societies, that don't give access to foreigners, that are off limits. I've been to all of them. So today, I am here and I'm going to tell you about my experience inside the 5 most secretive countries in the world. So here we go. The 4th country that is very secretive is Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea is incredibly unique. It is Africa's wealthiest country per capita. It is the only country in Africa where they speak Spanish. It's the only country in the world that has a mainland and an island, but the capital is on the island. And it is just fascinating. I mean, it has such a potential to develop using that oil wealth, with a very small population of less than 1 million people, in order to really kind of take its place on the African stage and on the global stage. But it has severe challenges and is fearful of this opening up as well. Right now we're driving just on this enormously wide road that has nothing on either side. It's definitely one of the under construction bits of the city. And now we're turning, I think, to a university or something. Similarly to all of these countries that are secretive, it has been ruled for almost 40 years by the same man. His son is now vice president as well, and there has just been a little bit of nervousness in opening up to others. However, what's unique about Equatorial Guinea for me is that all people except for Americans need a visa to get to Equatorial Guinea. And actually recently they have started allowing Chinese to come in without a visa as well. And why is that? Well, essentially they had released an RFP or a request for proposal for something in the oil industry years ago, right? They wanted companies to come in and do a project in oil. A lot of the companies that applied were Houston-based American companies, and they had issues getting the visa to allow these people to come in and pitch. So they kind of thought, what we can do is, what if we allow no visa for Americans? Will that boost the amount of business that is done between America and Equatorial Guinea? They tried it out. It was a big success. A lot of the oil operations now in Equatorial Guinea are done by American firms because it's so easy for Americans to go there and it's so hard for people from anywhere else to go. So that's kind of unique. So for me, Equatorial Guinea was very easy to get to in terms of no visa. It's completely crazy. We're in the middle of the jungle. There's a dirt road only, and at the end of it is this gorgeous new capital they're about to build. Gold domed. That the road kind of ends a little bit close to the building, so I can't get any closer today. But God, I would love to come back and see it. When it's finished, Ciudad de la Paz. Such an interesting little spot. I mean, look at that. In the middle of the jungle. There weren't even really towns around here, so it's fascinating. This is what you can do when you have some money and a dream for the future. I've actually also been twice to Equatorial Guinea. I went the first time in early 2017, and then I went last week, 7 days ago. And the first time I was on Malabo, which is the island capital, and the second time I was mostly in Bata, in Littoral Equatorial Guinea, the continental Equatorial Guinea, and in the jungle. The first time that I went was short. I think it was 3 days, and I was only in Malabo and was staying at this hotel. And I remember I walked I like had breakfast, and then I started walking out, and one of the employees saw me walking out, and they're like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I don't know, like I'm just gonna like walk around and see like what's up in Malabo." And they're like, "You're insane, like wait for me like half an hour and I'll take you around the city." So I waited for him, and for the entire day he like guided me. So we went to the old town, we saw the cathedral in Malabo, we saw the big port. He took me to Malabo 2, which is the like newly constructed ministerial area in Malabo with these, you know, it's the wealthiest country in Africa, so you have wide streets, fantastic like architecture. And then he took me out to Sipopo, which is this beautiful area that was built for the African Union Summit, I think 2011, when Equatorial Guinea, and their president, who were trying to become important in Africa. So they've done two big things. One was this huge summit that they did for every year. There's an African Union Summit. It trades between the countries. The year that it was given to Equatorial Guinea, he decided to build an entire resort, entire like city essentially for the summit. He built a mansion for each of the 54 heads of state of Africa. They're still there, you know, a big Sofitel resort. Presidential suite. Amazing. They might be like, "What are you doing? It's propaganda." So this room isn't even the master. So next up, we'll see what that one looks like. It's so fascinating. This is in Equatorial Guinea. And it's just like this strange, like kind of ghost town, but beautiful. So he took me all around. But he also showed me like where he lived. He took me to the slum areas, because Equatorial Guinea does have this huge inequality problem. And though it is the wealthiest country, and though there's incredible infrastructure, and there's clearly a lot of money spent on a lot of crazy things like this, there's a lot of poverty. The second thing is that they did the African Cup of Nations tournament in Equatorial Guinea, and again they wanted it to be big and beautiful and kind of showcase the wealth of the country, which is funny. It kind of reminds me of the Turkmenistan indoor Asian games, like having sports diplomacy. That's a real thing. That's actually a big thing in like international relations, is like sports diplomacy, like hosting Olympics, hosting big sporting events, kind of showing off to the region or the world what you can do like with your money and like how far you've progressed. And most of the time it's a failure. Basically, like almost all the time it's a failure, but sometimes it's incredibly successful, such as the 2008 Olympics in Beijing, which kind of was in many ways the turning point for China and the view that the world had of China as being a developing power. Anyway, Equatorial Guinea did this for the African Cup of Nations. The second visit, just last week, was mostly on the mainland. I was in Bata, which is the biggest city in Equatorial Guinea, and I like did a tour all around Bata. It's like a city like right on the water, and so there's like this beautiful waterfront. They're also building some crazy new things. Like I walked past this new library, and like some like security guard ran out, and I thought he was gonna like yell at me for taking a photo or something, because in a lot of these secretive countries that happens a lot. But you just have to be nice and smile. Like it's not a problem. You just apologize, and then you ask for permission, or you ask for clarity on where you can't take photos. Usually that's all you have to do. But he actually was saying, "Hey, do you want to come in and see the new library?" And I was like, "Okay, like sure." And it's like this underground, beautiful, very air-conditioned library that the government built for like all the university students. So that's fun. But the main thing that I did was I went into the jungle to the Grand Hotel Jibloho, where the government of Equatorial Guinea is trying to build a new capital. They took the approach of finding somewhere in the center of the country, and they're just going to construct something completely new. It's going to be called Ciudad de la Paz, City of Peace, and there are huge plans. Now we are in the presidential suite. private pool, one of the few balconies, view down into all of the grounds, and the gorgeous landscape behind us. Same price as the villas if you want to come for your honeymoon. About $2,000 a night. Super worth it. I mean, it's genuinely crazy. And if you want to eat, you have your dining balcony with gorgeous views, also out into the golf course. Right now there's only a few things finished, like the big wide roads, these two huge twin towers, and the foundation of the new Parliament building. So it's really cool to be there. Similarly to the resort in Malabo, in Jiblo, there is Africa's nicest hotel. Fantastic 5-star resort. Also has the chimpanzees that I played with in another video. Oh, thank you. That's nice. Okay, maybe we can go back to the car and Sam can bring me. Can I take him home? Do you want to come to Abu Dhabi? No, you should stay with your brothers. It's interesting because it's a totally different Africa story than we're used to hearing, and I love that, right? I mean, it's my favorite continent. I own land there. I've lived there in multiple countries, and I love going back. And I like that there are stories that don't just show animals and don't just show poverty, but at the same time, I would love for wealth on the continent to not be so unequal if it's shown. But so is the case. Equatorial Guinea, to me, is super fascinating. I love that they speak Spanish there because I kind of speak Spanish. I think that there's so much potential to use this oil wealth in the right way, and there's also so many things that would make for a really good tourism infrastructure because the jungle is really untouched, the island beaches, and kind of just the mountains and the volcano would be great for hiking and nature. So there's a lot of potential there, and that kind of excites me, and it's another country that I would love to go back to in a professional way to kind of help in this, because that's what I do for work. I hope that you enjoyed this video, that you learned something new about these 5 countries, that you see them in a little bit of a new light. If you like this video, I have so many more. I even have some much longer ones about some of the countries that I've discussed. So check them out, subscribe, comment. I respond to all the comments. Follow me on Instagram or on Facebook. And I hope that I'll see you again and that you will travel safe.